Super Brains. Before we started our quest together, I wanted to make this quote-unquote quick video. That's a joke because my last name is Quick. It really is my last name. I didn't change it to do what I do. With a name like Quick, you can say my life and destiny was pretty much planned out. I want to make this quick video for you, just a couple of tips to get the most out of our quest together. And it's kind of inspired in that everyone knows there's a learning curve. What a lot of people don't know is there's a forgetting curve. And what happens is, according to studies, is when you learn something brand new, within 48 hours, literally, 80% of it can be gone, completely gone. And I don't want that to happen. So I want to give you a couple quick tips to boost your retention as we go through this process. Now, the other thing I want to mention also is this thing on creativity. This program is a whole brain program. The reason why this works so well is that we employ your whole self. I mean lifestyle, diet, sleep, automatic negative thoughts, getting rid of those things, stress reduction, their positive peer group. I mean your left brain, right brain, your conscious, your unconscious, every different facet. And a big part of it is your imagination. So I'm going to ask you a question. Who are the fastest learners on the planet? They're children, right? Children can learn a language, they can learn musical instruments, all the things that you're about to learn in this quest, right? And they can learn it fast. Now, part of it is adults can learn actually faster. It's just children have more time, free time. But also children have this wonder. They have this bewilderment. In fact, there's this Rumi quote that I quote all the time saying that trade your cleverness for bewilderment. I mean, I want you to be in that state. So if you want to get the most out of this adventure together, this quest together, I want you just to imagine that you're an 8-year-old and you could play a little bit more. And I'm going to ask you to be a little bit creative. Now, if you don't feel like you're creative, that might be some negative self-talk. We're going to talk about the power of beliefs and how to reframe and change some of your limiting beliefs, whether it comes around in finances or in your health or your relationships, but certainly when it comes to your intelligence and your potential. Because we know it's not fixed, that you can do so much more than you realize that you're capable of. Now, a lot of people overestimate what they could do in a day. And I'm going to actually blow your mind in a couple of these lessons because you're going to impress yourself and do more than you think you could do. But most people overestimate what they could do in a day in anything. But they grossly underestimate what they could do in 30 days. And that's what we're about to do together. So I'm going to ask you to get the most out of this is realize that you could play. And if you're not feeling super creative, know this, you don't have creativity, you do creativity. Just like you don't have a memory. A big part of this is focusing on improving your memory. You don't have a memory, you do a memory. Just like you don't have focus, you do focus. Now what do I mean by that? It takes it from being a static noun into a verb. A verb is a process, it's step by step, and I'm going to show you how to remember something and how to be more creative because it becomes a recipe. So here's the thing, it doesn't matter your genetics, your biology, or where your tilt is, left brain, right brain, all of us have this ability to focus better, to be more creative, to be more imaginative, and to have a better memory, to be able to do a better memory. And we all come in with different assets, like we all do with anything, and these experiences we're about to share together, this training we're about to do, the techniques that I'm going to employ will help you get there. A lot of people go to the gym, see somebody lift a lot of weights, and it's easy to look at that person and say, oh, that person can lift all that heavy weight because they're really strong. But that's not really the lesson you want to take from that. Because really what happens is that person is really strong because they're lifting that weight. Do you see the difference? And I'm here to say that if you've seen me on stage memorize 100 people's names or 100 words, 100 numbers forwards and backwards, I didn't start that way. I had these learning challenges and I had to learn how to learn. And that's what we're going to be doing over these 30 days in this quest. So if you don't feel like you're creative, or you don't feel like you're focused, or you don't feel like you have a good memory, that's where it is now, but we're going to change that. And as long as you have an open mind and you're motivated to make some change, you'll get the result. The second thing I want to talk about and gift to you in terms of before we get started that's going to help you boost your retention, as we talked about in the opening, that 80% is taking notes. We know that if you take notes, you're going to remember more. So I'm going to encourage you when you go through this quest with me to take notes. Now, specifically, out of all the studies done at universities talking about there's different levels of taking notes. Some are good, some are not quite as good and useful. The worst way of taking notes is not taking notes at all, so take notes. But the second way of taking notes was really surprising to a lot of the researchers. What do you think the second worst way of taking notes was? Verbatim. Verbatim, writing transcripts exactly what the expert is talking about. Because then you have a lot of fluff, you could have 40 pages, but what's the core of it, right? And so I'm going to tell you one way you could take notes that's really going to aid you over the 30 days we're going to spend together. And what I call this note-taking technique is capture, create. Capture, create. It's very, very, very simple. when you have a piece of paper, and I would recommend you handwrite these notes if possible. Studies show that when you handwrite something, you take better notes than when you type it. Now, I'm not saying if it's between typing and not taking notes, then type it digitally. But if you have the potential and the ability to be able to handwrite it, you'll get better results across the board. And the reason why, one of the reasons why is this. You could type everything I say, but when I'm asking you to handwrite something, you can't write that fast. So one of the filtering mechanisms it allows for is you have to focus on what's most important. And you start to qualify and put first things first. So I'd recommend you handwrite these notes. Now, how do you do it? You have a piece of paper. I want you to draw a line right down the sheet of paper, right down vertically down the center of the page. And on the left side, you're going to capture notes. On the right side, you're going to create notes. Now, what's the difference? It's subtle, but it's powerful. On the left side, I want you to take notes. This is where you're going to write how to remember names, step by step, how to learn another language, how to have better focus, how to read 25–50% faster. That's something that's in your quest. Are you excited about this? How to remember things word for word, how to give speeches without notes, my top 10 favorite brain foods, all the things you're about to learn in our quest together, it goes on the left side. That's where you're taking notes. Now, if this is note taking on the right side, what are you doing? You're making notes. It's different than taking notes. What are you doing? Often when people are going through a class or they're going through a conference, a learning event, their mind gets distracted. I don't want that to happen here. If it's going to get distracted, I want it to be distracted on the right side of the page. Instead of doodling, you're going to write your impressions of what you're capturing, meaning your note taking on the left side and your note making on the right side, meaning what's my impressions of what I'm capturing? What am I creating here? Questions I have about what I'm learning. How does this apply to what I know? What can I do with this? How am I going to teach this to somebody else? You're creating something on the right side. That's even more of what I'm giving you in this quest. So what's the lesson here is we're co-creating together. That you're not alone, that we're going to do it together. Now, I'm not going to do it to you, that we're going to do it together. Remember, team. Together, everyone achieves more. I'm going to ask you to put your notes or take pictures of it and maybe even put these images and these notes in our community so the other tribe members can benefit from it too. And this is the best thing, and I mentioned this, that if I give you $1 and you give me $1, we both have the same dollar. But if I give you a brand new insight or an idea and you give me a brand new insight idea, all of a sudden we have two brand new ideas. So we empower each other. Truly, together, everyone achieves more. So use this note-taking and note-making method. Remember that your memory, your focus, your creativity is not fixed like your shoe size. It's not a noun. You don't have a memory, you do a memory. You don't have focus, you're going to learn how to do focus. You don't have creativity, you're going to learn how to do creative things. And that's what this program is really about. So I hope this quick tip is useful to you. I cannot wait to see you inside this quest.